Good morning, everybody. Wake up.
Wake up, wake up.
In Provincetown. This week featuring
Wake up, wake up.
Can I have some coffee?
Wake up, wake up.
Make it strong, please. Hey. Ho. Hey.
Wake up, wake up.
Ho.
Merry Christmas! Ho, ho, ho!
Good morning, everyone.
Hi, guys. It's Friday, December 23rd. This is Wake Up in Provincetown, and this is our Christmas episode. Some of us are in the Christmas spirit, and some of us need to be visited by 3 ghosts tonight, it sounds like.
I know one of my favorite jokes I ever saw about that is like, imagine sitting in your living room and all of a sudden a stranger and then someone who looks like a more successful version of you shows up and is like, this is what it could be. And they're like, no, the horror, and then disappear. And you're like, what the fuck?
My sister, I didn't know this, but she's obsessed with A Christmas Carol, like the Charles Dickens story. So she's like, we watched like 4 of them. We watched the Mickey Mouse one. We watched the George C. Scott one. Scrooged, of course. And she's like...
And A Diva's Christmas Carol.
No, we didn't have access to that. You can't?
Nope.
Why not?
Such a bummer.
It's unavailable. Do you have the DVD?
No. Our friend from Trivia said he had the DVD.
Oh, who?
I only know their team name.
We're going to have a hard time getting the DVD if we can't remember who it is.
I know.
Which team is it?
They're always 4 calling birds.
I don't know.
Yeah.
No, but she said George C. Scott was her favorite. Mickey Mouse, I think, was my favorite one.
Mm-hmm.
That was like the invention of Scrooge McDuck. I think DuckTales came after that.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And he got nicer in DuckTales.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in the show, they're going by the character names of the Dickens story. So Mickey Mouse is only referred to as Bob Cratchit.
Oh, and that's why he's Scrooge McDuck.
Yes.
I get it.
See? But it was very fun. But it's, when you really think about that story, you know what the moral of the story is, right?
Give away your money?
No, it's you can only be guilted into doing the right thing by ghosts, and that poor people should be happy with nothing. Like they keep pointing out to him, they're like, look how happy these people who have nothing are. Look how happy. And I'm like, why are they so happy? That kid's dying. He can't put food on the table.
I also just read a statistic that, like, based on the amount of money that he made in that Charles Dickens story, like, if you adjusted for inflation, it would be like $28 an hour today.
What Bob Cratchit was making?
Yeah.
He was doing great.
Exactly.
You could feed a family of 4 back then.
Right.
In Dickensian England. Victorian? When was that?
Dickensian. We'll go with Dickensian.
Okay, Dickensian.
It's definitely that.
We have a great show for you today, guys.
We really do.
It's our annual visit with Murray Bartlett, the Emmy Award-winning actor, who...
Our perennial guest.
I heard a rumor that Emmy might be paying a visit to the set.
I love that you made him bring... You're like, bring it. You better bring it.
I mean, that is Wake Up's Emmy as much as it's Murray's Emmy.
I kill you.
I'm totally kidding. He's not here yet. Don't tell him I said that. How was your week? I've been gone for 2 weeks.
Yeah, let's talk about... You've been gone for so long, and we haven't even had a chance to catch up. How were your weeks away?
Oh, my God.
What Broadway shows did you see?
So, in 5 days, we saw A Strange Loop, which is closing in January. Go see it if you haven't seen it yet. We saw Leah Michele do Funny Girl. She, no matter what you think of her or how she has previously treated her coworkers or friends and family or people she doesn't like, she is an incredible talent. It's one of the most amazing voices I've ever heard live.
Interesting.
She's great. We also saw Little Shop of Horrors, which is a personal favorite of mine. Matt Doyle, who just won a Tony for Company, he's Seymour, and Lena Hall is Audrey, and they were just so perfect. I love that show so much.
Too.
And what was Some Like It Hot. It was the last night of previews for Some Like It Hot. I never saw the movie. Did you ever see the movie?
No.
So, it's basically the basis of Sister Act. It's these 2 people witness a crime and then have to go into hiding in costumes.
Interesting.
Sister Act is Some Like It Hot.
Oh, wow.
So these 2 guys witness a crime, and then they join an all-woman traveling band and have to be in drag the whole time, and somehow people don't know that they're guys.
Who played those parts in the movie?
Jack Lemmon. And Tony Curtis. And so in the Broadway show, it's a white guy and a black guy. And when they first come out in drag, I was like, he is pretty. I'm like, look at that guy.
That's how they couldn't tell.
Well, no. So the way they've updated the story is that person is like, I'm Daphne, and I've never felt more like myself.
love
Like they
that.
totally turned it into like a very modern take on it that was very, very like gender confirming, trans positivity, and I was like, good on you, Broadway. Thank you for the beautiful message. And it was so much fun. Like these huge tap dancing Broadway numbers that like evoked like the classic musicals that
Totally.
from the 30s and 40s. Everything was huge and loud and beautiful and fun. I loved it. That's the most fun you can have going to Broadway right now. Something like that, honestly.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that was a great week in New York. And then I went home to Delaware to visit my family and friends for a week. You know, before the pandemic, I would go home to Christmas every other year. We would spend one here and then one there. And it was nice to be back home and see everybody. And I really got into the Christmas spirit, as you can see, over the last 2 weeks that I've been gone. Ho, ho, ho!
I don't love this version of Bob.
You don't? Andrew does not love this version of Bob.
It's a good version.
I'm
I like
cheerful.
it.
I'm
Yeah.
cheery. I'm in the holiday spirit.
Yeah.
Take that bracelet off.
Mark said to take this off. It's bad for the microphones.
Did you hang with Paula?
All the time.
Good.
Oh, you're going to see a video later of Paula and I. We went to Longwood Gardens, which is in Kennett Square, Pennsylvania. It is one of the biggest, best Christmas light shows in the country. It takes about 2.5 hours to walk through the whole thing, which I didn't know.
That must be amazing.
It is amazing, but I hadn't eaten since breakfast, and halfway through there's like all these tents with pizza and all this stuff, and I was like, I'll just wait because we're going to have dinner in a restaurant after this. And then by the time we were done, I was like, we have to get in the car right now.
It's like flipping tables
Yeah.
and tearing lights off things.
So there's a 4-minute video of Longwood Gardens, so you don't have to go. But if you get a chance, if you're anywhere near Kennett Square, Pennsylvania, go to Longwood Gardens.
Yeah,
I'm
that
so
sounds
happy that we
incredible.
went. You can get a membership. Like last year for Christmas, I got my sister a membership to Longwood because they have different shows over the course of the year. And in the summer, it's like water fountains, and it's a beautiful property.
Oh, wow.
Started, I think, by the DuPonts. There was a lot of historical plaques on the wall. Skip that shit. Just go for the lights. Something about Pierre DuPont. What did you do while I was gone?
This past week was tons of fun. After the show last Friday, I worked all day at the brewery, went to the gym, and then came right back to watch. Tadana did a special edition of Gay Bible.
What was it?
It was the Pee Wee Herman Christmas special.
Oh,
Which was, you were there, right?
Yes.
It was so much fun. I think I have a little picture of Tadana by the tree. But if you haven't seen that, I loved it because it's like 45 minutes long. So it's a super easy watch. It's just like everything moves along really quickly. Everything is utterly insane. I grew up with Pee Wee Herman, but the movies, which are a very different vibe than the show. The show is like sketchy and weird, where the movie was like plot driven. But the cast of characters in that movie is utterly unhinged.
is Phil
It's like-
Hartman in it?
No.
it's like Charo, Grace Jones, Dinah Shore, Oprah.
Oprah?
The
Yeah.
Del Rubio triplets.
Yeah, the Del Rubio triplets.
I don't even know what that means.
They were like regulars on Pee Wee's show, right?
They would pop in and out.
Yeah. But I'm trying to think who else. It's just wild. And every time he like opens, like there's like another celebrity there to stop by for like 30 seconds, sing a quick song, and go.
Oh,
Yeah. And I just think Pee Wee Herman is one of the greatest characters ever created. He is so fun.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
No, I just thought about something. Never mind. It's not appropriate for morning television. Yeah, but that was a lot of fun. Then the next day, I did one of my first wintry hikes. We walked the Fire Road by Hatches Harbor, that like long straight shot. But it was Saturday, and we picked the exact hour where it was like super windy and rainy. So that was interesting, but it ended up being really gorgeous on the walk back. So that was good. Speaking of windy and rainy, it's rough in P-Town right now.
Yeah, you guys. You know, I just left Delaware where it was pretty cold, and our friend Andy is in Montana right now visiting his parents, and he sent the screenshot of this, and it was like high of -6, is -22, feels like -33, and I'm like, what does below, like 33 below, feel like?
Yeah, I feel like there's a lower limit where it stops feeling colder. It's just,
Like your face hurts instantly when you walk out the door?
yeah, I think that's one where if you like go outside and spit on the ground, it like crackles
That's wild.
because it freezes so fast.
Yeah, I was complaining about Delaware, and then Andy sent me that, and I was
Yeah.
like, a high of -6? Oof.
No, Eric Borg was going to visit his family, and he's like, my mom texted me and said, just so you know, it's a high of 0.
Oh, it's 52 here today.
Yeah, it's 52, but it is windy. I got up about 4 or 5 times last night to make sure that a tree hadn't fallen on my car. I know I've talked about it before, but I have all all those pitch pines around my house, and I've always had the mentality of like, they're not going to fall. They've been there for years and years and years. They'll never fall. And then this past summer, during a windy storm, one of them fell, and now I can no longer feel that way. So the terror and panic is back.
Yay! The Christmas spirit.
Right. But it's gonna get extra cold in a few. I think it's gonna
drop 30 degrees today. It's 54 and a low of 24.
Yeah,
that's when you really notice. When there's a drop of that much, you're like, it got really cold.
It's gonna be like you go into a restaurant for dinner and you leave and it's chilling. So be sure to plan accordingly with your outfits.
Layers, bring layers if you're coming to Provincetown for Christmas.
And then Sunday, I did something that I think you did as well. While you were away, I went to go see Avatar: The Shape of Water.
Tell everybody what you thought.
It's not The Shape of Water, it's The Way of Water. What's The Shape of Water?
That an Oscar-winning movie of its own.
Right.
Avatar: The Way of Water.
But it's Avatar: The Way of Water. I saw it on Sunday, and I hadn't seen the original. I didn't see the first one. Never.
Oh.
And from what I at first I was like, I'm not going to enjoy it as much because I hadn't seen the first one. But after talking to a few people who had also seen it, I think I enjoyed it more because I hadn't seen the first one. A lot of people were saying like, yeah, it was beautiful, but the first one was beautiful. The plot was fairly the same thing as the first one. They were like, it was the exact same movie except water. But I loved it. I feel like it's never a movie I would sit down in my living room to watch, but I highly suggest going to see it in one of those like super nice theaters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get the comfy chair, the 3D, the giant screen. My friends who I went with, they were like, oh, we should sit here because it's assigned seating. I was like, can we be really close? And they're like, oh, why? I'm like, I don't like to see anything outside of the screen.
Yeah, if somebody's walking, I want to have to move my head. Right. Like we were in the very front row, and the chairs reclined and heated up.
Wow.
Like Milford, Delaware. That is a nice movie theater.
We live in the future.
We do live in the future. Yeah. And everybody has like a desk.
Oh, for snacks?
Yeah, so like your popcorn and your soda are on this like.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
It goes like this. It was great. You have nothing else to say about your experience at that movie?
I cried a lot.
Did you have a glass of wine or anything?
I partook in recreational legal things.
Yeah, didn't it enhance your experience?
Oh, I'm sure. It enhances most experiences. Yeah, it was incredible.
I'm just going to tell you that I highly recommend seeing the new Avatar in a good seat, close to the screen, in 3D.
We saw RPX, which I have no idea what that means, but it's good.
I don't know what that means either. Yeah. But definitely see it in 3D on a weed edible and on mushrooms.
Oh, that's only legal in Oregon.
I heard that is the best way to see this movie.
You heard.
Someone that I trust implicitly.
Yourself.
That I would trust with my life because it's his life too. He told me that is the best way to see this movie. Like mind-blowing.
I'm sure.
Like I was like, breathtaking, literally like reaching out to these, imaginary sea creatures. The most beautiful film ever. Yeah. I mean, the messaging is a little heavy-handed. Like James Cameron, we get it. Humans are the worst part of the universe. If it weren't for humans, every other creature would be writing whales would be writing songs to mermaids.
Yeah.
Like they shoot one of these animals, spoiler alert, and the avatar is like, oh, that was my soul sister. She wrote songs to me. And I was like, humans fuck everything up.
It's also like the so thinly veiled metaphor for like white colonialism in Africa.
I know.
Like, it's like they barely even tried to make it different.
Yeah.
Definitely
go see it though.
Yeah, super gorgeous. One thing like I said, I didn't see the first one, so I was shook when I got like 10 minutes in the movie. I turned to Benji and go, are they using papyrus? The font for everything? And I was like, what the hell? This is like a bajillion-dollar movie, and they just like went to fonts and like, Microsoft Word, and we're like, oh, we'll just do papyrus.
It worked.
It was so
pretty. It's beautiful.
But like, fonts to like create your own font isn't the most expensive thing.
Right. Well, they had exceeded their budget apparently. Did you recognize the Kate Winslet Avatar?
No, I was like, who are these people? And I was like, Kate Winslet was in that?
Yeah.
I don't know how much the acting of the human being translates into this animated thing. The only person I could kind of see them through it was Zoe Saldana, who I thought was really great in it.
Not Sigourney Weaver as a 14-year-old.
Right. Was that her?
That was her voice.
Okay, that was her. I wasn't sure, but I was like, wow, it's incredible that they got this this actor to play Sigourney Weaver's daughter because they have very similar timbres to their voice.
It was Sigourney
That
Weaver.
makes sense.
Give Sigourney Weaver an Oscar already, everybody. She's been owed one since Working Girl. She just played a 14-year-old blue person.
Yeah.
Give her she's 70-something.
Totally.
That's not cultural appropriation?
Mark.
Ask a smart.
This past Wednesday, The Shape of The Way of Water passed the 600 million mark globally, which is incredible. And but it does not reach the goal that this movie has to hit 2 billion worldwide, or it doesn't make any money,
or it flopped.
No, well, is that a flop if you don't make your money back? Is that
yeah,
okay.
I think so. If you don't break even, you're a flop.
Okay. So they have to make 2 billion worldwide in order to break even. A feat that only 5 other films have ever accomplished. But
was Avatar one of them?
Yeah, 2 of them are James Cameron films. So Titanic and the first Avatar both exceeded 2 billion. Avatar is the best-selling movie of all time globally, and there's 2 of the Avenger movies have sold 2 billion, and one of the recent Star Wars films.
The one where they killed Harrison Ford.
I have no idea.
It was the
Force Awakens, I think it was. I don't know which one that is.
The last one when Carrie Fisher was alive.
Yeah, but they had a $427 million opening weekend, and I think it's one of those things where a lot of people going in were very much like, oh, it's Avatar, who really cares? But I think a lot of people that went to go see it like us were like, you got to go see it.
It was an event. That's an event film. Definitely see it in the theater.
Definitely.
These movies are made to be seen in a theater.
I did hear that they already have filmed an Avatar 3, and that the cut that James Cameron submitted to the studio is 9 hours long, and he doesn't want to make any cuts until he's completed all of the special effects.
That's expensive. That's why it costs so much to make.
Right. I'm over here like, I'll watch the 9-hour cut.
Edit.
No, I'll watch it. Why not?
That's too long.
I mean, 9 hours.
3 hours. It felt like the same movie twice.
Right.
It was like this person's kids get captured, then he gets them back. This person's.
Then
I was like, it's literally 90 minutes of the one movie, and then it's repeated in the second 90 minutes.
But honestly, I think movies, especially these epic movies, should be that long. I feel like the format of movies being an hour and a half to 2 hours is kind of obsolete because there used to be such a gap between film and television. Now that gap is so small when we have things like Game of Thrones and these huge epic TV shows happening. If you want to make a movie that sets you apart from anything that I could turn on my TV and watch, give me 3 hours, give me 3.5 hours, make me want to go to a theater and buy Sour Patch Kids and peanut M&Ms and a bucket of Coke Zero. And
Question.
Yeah.
When in the movie did you go pee? Is my question.
Not
I
once.
didn't pee during Avatar.
No, I didn't pee. And I drank an entire, like I said, a bucket of Coke Zero.
The seat reclines and there's a catheter.
Right.
It was the best movie theater I've ever been to. Yeah.
I mean, I know we don't do it anymore, but can we do intermissions? Give us 15.
Yeah.
No. Didn't you want it to just keep going?
Yeah, totally. But I think it would have been nice to refill my bucket of Coke Zero because I did not have enough.
Before we move on from movies, how did the Whitney Houston movie do?
Oh, I have no idea.
Driving home, I saw that it was playing in Wellfleet, and I was like, I want to see that in the theater.
Oh,
too.
I could see that. Yeah,
Right?
definitely. What else did I do? Oh, this past Monday, I went to the Housing Select Board meeting.
How did it go?
It was a special meeting on housing, and the Select Board was there, so it was the Housing Committee and the Select Board, and it was really interesting. So the Housing Committee has been meeting for quite some time, and we're finally at the solution stage where we're proposing solutions. The first about 45 minutes of the meeting was that it was a presentation by basically the head of the Housing Commission from Vail, Colorado. Oh. And it's obviously Provincetown is going to be unique and very different to Vail, but it is kind of similar. Housing costs have boomed in the past few years. There's limited housing stock, and just obviously we have Truro, Wellfleet, but when you look at Vail, it's in the middle of the mountains, so there's no neighboring towns similar to kind of how we are. And the solution that they did, I'm not sure the legality within the state of Massachusetts, but their solution was to do deed restrictions. And I've heard of deed restrictions before, where it's basically and I think there are deed restricted properties within Provincetown where it's basically the restriction means that you can't rent it weekly. But these deed restrictions were, you cannot own this house unless you work at least 30 hours a week for a business in Provincetown, and 70% of your income is made within Provincetown.
Oh, that sounds like hard to do here.
I mean, I'm sure, because the majority of our community uses the community as an investment.
But not just that. Anybody who works at least 30 hours and makes 70% of their income working in Provincetown can't afford to own a house here.
But that's exactly what the deed restriction would do. It would, because they would purchase a deed restriction.
Okay.
And then that house can only be bought by people, so it just changes the value of the house.
So the house is like, the property values aren't ridiculous. They're more.
Yeah, which makes it able for people to then be able to buy it.
And the guy from Vail said that that's working.
Yeah, he says it's working really well. Yeah.
Something to consider.
Totally.
How many people showed up?
It was packed. I think there were about 60 people viewing. I think about 20 people spoke during public comment. A lot of people made some really good suggestions. Michael Gaucher was there. I know he's been meeting with a lot of people talking about this. He's super passionate about it. He definitely spoke incredibly eloquently and had a ton of, basically, it's something that I've talked about before. It's like there's so many communities across the country that are doing things to make Airbnb a part of their community without it destroying their community. And I think it is time for Provincetown to look at those options and put some moves into action and make things happen. Like you look at what Boston has done, Atlanta, Key West, Palm Springs, they've done so much and we haven't done so much.
Anything.
Yeah, and it's time to, and a lot of people are trying to throw money at the problem by we'll add an extra tax, we'll charge more for this so we have more money to create it. But if you just allow every piece of property within this town to just exist within this crazy free market, then it won't be able to work.
Yeah, not everything can be an Airbnb.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. It's there isn't a housing problem. Obviously that this housing problem has existed for quite some time, but 30 years ago there were enough people living in houses here in Provincetown to staff businesses. And so it's not that there's not enough houses, it's that there how do I phrase this? There's not an amount of the people that we need living in those houses.
Yeah, a lot of them are just sitting empty.
A lot of them are sitting empty. A lot of them, we hear about it almost every week that someone who's lived in a property for, we had a coworker who had lived in a property for 18 years, and the owner decided to sell it. The people that had just bought the condo upstairs from them bought it because they had first right of refusal, and literally said to this person's face, oh, we're going to renovate it and use it as overflow for when our friends come. And it's that's the problem. It's these houses exist, these homes exist, and they're not, the people who we need to be living in them are not.
And we're not going to be able to build our way out of this problem. It is a multi-pronged approach that is required. And it's nice to hear that meeting happened. Yeah. There's been some real serious community organizing by some of the people that went to that and started it. And it's nice to see the ball moving forward. Yeah,
it was nice to see a really great turnout too. Yeah. What else do we got? Oh my God, just a quick thing. I was flipping through the Provincetown Independent online, and I was shocked to see a picture of my feet.
What?
Free feet pics in the Provincetown Independent of my feet. Do you have the picture, Andrew? It's in the note.
Oh, these are your feet.
Those are my feet.
Your feet.
Yeah.
Why were your feet in the newspaper?
It was the article about the Kook Toy Drive.
Oh,
this is local honey's feet.
They chose to use a picture of my feet.
You went as local honey to the toy drive?
Yeah, see my feet?
Aww.
Those shoes are the most uncomfortable shoes. I had planned on throwing them out when I got home because I was so upset having worn them for 2.5 hours at the Kook Toy Drive. But now I feel like I have to save them, but they are sitting drag shoes from now on. Yeah, standing in a nightclub for 2.5 hours is not what these shoes are designed for.
I heard you guys raised over $16,000.
Killer.
That's amazing.
We love to see it.
I know. Merry Christmas to all the families of Provincetown.
Hey.
What else is in local news? Anything?
I don't think I have any more. Oh, also, we want to do a big congratulations to Mike Flanagan. He had his first YouTube video. It is a video for his music video for the song Trying with Lisa Bella and Justin Waite. And that video just hit 1 million views on YouTube.
Really?
Yeah. So an incredible congratulations to Mike Flanagan. Look it up on YouTube. Once again, it's called Trying. It's a really great song too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Mike.
I think that's all I have for local news. Do you want to do your video and then we'll come back for some global news?
Okay. I have a shorter video and a longer video. Which one do you want first?
Shorter now.
Shorter first. So when I went, I've never seen anything like this. And the locals, of course, were like, oh, this happens every winter. But when I was in Rehoboth Beach on Wednesday night, I couldn't get into my hotel until 4 o'clock. And so I went for a walk on the beach by myself. And what I saw there really kind of blew my mind. Like the migration of these geese from up north down to wherever the hell they're going. Apparently they love to stop in Rehoboth Beach. Listen to this. Watch this. Isn't that amazing? I've never seen so many birds in one place at one time. Wild.
I love it. Yeah. Okay, let's do some other news. One thing I want to talk about really quick. We spoke about last week about Renee Rapp. She was casted in the Mean Girls musical movie, and I said that she was reprising her role and that she had music out, and she was also on a TV show. I spent this week like diving in, and I'm fully obsessed. She has a 6-song EP out, and I know every word since last week. And I also watched the entire first season of the show she's on, The Sex Life of College Girls.
Did you love it?
It was really fun.
I watched the first episode, and
the first episode was real bad.
It's cringy.
That goes away.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, I knew it was a Mindy Kaling project, so I figured
that it would get better, or that it would cringe you.
Yeah. Well, the Mindy project. Her last show, her big show, the Mindy Project, the first episode had such a different vibe than the rest of it, and I figured that might happen too. But it was really fun. But the Sex Life of Colleges, like I said, it's Mindy Kaling project. There's 2 seasons out now. I think the second season just wrapped up, and they just announced a third season is going to be coming out. It follows 4 roommates that are college freshmen in Vermont, and shows how like that sudden freedom of college can be make life difficult and rewarding. And it's also super queer, which I think is awesome. So check it out.
Does one of them turn into a lesbian?
Renee Rapp's character is a lesbian.
Really?
Yeah.
From the beginning?
Yeah, they're freshman year of college, so it's about her figuring all that out. But it is laugh out loud funny a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. So check that out.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of casting news, a few years ago, all the gays were obsessed with WandaVision, and specifically the character of Agatha, so much so they had like a little jingle for hers within it, and I think that song was burned into every gay's brain across the world. It was Agatha all along. Boop, boop, boop. You remember?
No,
Did you not watch that show? Damn.
What?
I know. It was really, 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 really good. But because of that, they decided to do a spin-off. So the spin-off is called Agatha Coven of Chaos, and I think they fully recognize that the gays were obsessed with it, so they're making this the gayest thing possible. So it's centered around the character of Agatha, who is what's her name? Catherine Hahn, who the gays love. They cast Aubrey Plaza as the villain, the gays love. And news that they also have Joe Locke, who is a gay actor. You might know him if you watch the show Heartstopper. He is cast, and we're not sure what his role is going to be, but it's rumored that he's going to be playing teenage Billy, and Billy is Wanda's magically inclined son, who's also gay in the comic books.
Oh.
And they just announced this week that they cast Patty LuPone in it.
Miss Patty.
Yeah. So they are fully giving the gays everything they want.
That's very nice.
Yeah, and that's going to be coming
Disney Plus.
Yeah, it's going to be coming out late 2023, early 2024.
See, and here you were complaining a couple weeks ago that Disney buried that gay animated film. Look what they're doing for the gays.
Yeah.
Show.
Did you see that the January 6th committee had its final public hearing this past Monday?
What happened?
After 17 months of investigating, they had their final committee hearing, and basically their final closing statement was all roads lead to Donald Trump. Members focus on how the former president's direct involvement in efforts to overturn the 2020 election makes him responsible. Yeah. The committee laid out the case for both the public and the Justice Department that there's evidence to pursue criminal charges against Trump on multiple criminal statutes, including obstructing an official proceeding, defrauding the United States, making false statements, and assisting or aiding an insurrection.
That's what it looked like when it was happening.
Yeah. These aren't formal charges. That basically they're just suggestions to the Justice Department. And in released transcripts on Wednesday, it was revealed that over 24 witnesses invoked their Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. It's basically why it was so hard and took so long, is because like
Nobody would say
everyone
anything.
they interviewed, they're like, oh, I can't incriminate myself. And we're like, because everyone was involved. It's insanity.
Well,
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
I know you're a person who does Wordle,
Mm-hmm.
but do you do the crossword in the New York Times?
No.
No?
I play Spelling Bee and Wordle.
There was some drama with the crossword puzzle this past week. The New York Times came under fire after posting a crossword puzzle this past Sunday, which was in the shape of a swastika. And when someone told me that, and I like fully was like, oh, like just because it's the New York Times, I figured like it was like, oh yeah, it does kind of look like a swastika. And then I saw it and I was like, oh no, that is fully a swastika. I think I have the picture. Yeah. So that was this past Sunday, which was also the first day of Hanukkah, which definitely adds
New
insult to
York
injury.
Times.
Yeah, it's not a good look. The creator of the crossword was Ryan McCarty, who posted to celebrate his first puzzle in the Times. He described it as, in the constructor notes, as a fun whirlpool shape.
Okay.
Yeah. The New York Times has been accused of posting crosswords in the shapes of swastikas before in 2014 and 2017. In my opinion, they looked much less like a swastika than this past one, but still, I could fully see what they were saying. And
Where were that guy's friends?
Well, I mean, how many people have
or
to
the
look
editors
at this before it goes to print?
There's someone's job at the New York Times who's only crossword puzzles, and he was like, "Great." In 2017, they tweeted a response that said, "Yes, this is literally what they tweeted. Yes, hi, it's not a swastika. Honest to God, no one sits down to make a crossword puzzle and says, hey, you know what would look cool?" Like that was their apology. In 2017, their current statement is, this is a common crossword design. Many open grids and crosswords have a similar spiral pattern because of the rules around rotational symmetry and black squares. But like if in the last 15 years, you've been accused of doing a swastika 3 times and you post a puzzle every single day, it seems like it would be fairly easy to not post a crossword that is reminiscent of a swastika at all.
It proves Jews don't control the media.
Right.
Or at least the New York Times.
Well, the New York Times has been criticized for the way they report on Israel and other Jewish issues. So Yeah, not great.
I don't play the crossword.
Let's see. I think I got one more. Let's play one of your videos.
Okay. Oh, so you
Or,
guys.
do you want to do the solstice one now?
Yeah, let's do that.
So this past Wednesday.
2 days ago?
Yeah, 2 days ago, Wednesday, we celebrated the winter solstice on the beach. A group of really incredible people. I think it was Robert Cromwell, Tor, Andrew Haig, Tangle, and Patrick Lamilson put together a really fun celebration of the winter solstice on the beach on a bonfire, and I took a little video of it. Take a peek.
There's something really special about this solstice in that, like, the solstice itself is the darkest of night. It's like the shortest day, the longest night, and it's kind of the darkest part of our year. There's something about that is like a void, and something that where there is space for opportunity, but also for things to hide. And this is also on a new moon, basically, which is another time when there is no light and there is a lot of space. And I think a lot of times this can be looked at as fearful. What is in the darkness? What has been hiding? What are some of our demons? Which I encourage anyone to explore and dive into and see what has been hiding underneath the surface and get to be present and know that. But also, there's an element of this that feels like digging in the soil to put a seed.
That was so much fun.
That's the longest night of the year, right? The summer solstice?
Yes. So sunsets already began being later as of like a week and a half ago, I want to say, because the earliest sunset and the longest night of the year don't coincide for some weird reason, which I just learned. Isn't that wild?
The more you know.
Yeah, but days are beginning to get longer.
Yay!
Which is super exciting. That was Wednesday night. One last thing I wanted to mention about my week. Last night we did trivia. It was super fun. I think people were in the Christmas spirits. We had about 10 teams. Mark Garrett filled in for Bob. He did such a great job. He wrote 2 rounds for us. Elaine came and brought cookies for everyone. It was a really cute vibe last night.
Excellent. Yeah. We're going to do our semi-weekly birthday call. It is semi-weekly, right? We don't do this every week.
This person's awake?
This person is probably already at work.
Oh, wow.
He works at Harvard.
Slay.
I know. But maybe he'll take a call. Don't forget to call your loved ones. Wish them happy holidays. Wish them a happy birthday.
Forwarded.
Wow. Happy birthday, Joe Dagnello. Merry Christmas. You're finally in your mid-30s.
Wow.
Joey was always like the kid in the friend group.
Yeah.
And now he's 34, I think.
Wow.
We're all getting older.
I know. And
I'm
there's no
getting
kids
older,
coming
too.
behind us.
There are.
Are there?
Well, once we put all these deed restrictions on
it's
the
like
town.
just Joe.
Is that it for news stories?
I have a couple quick ones. If you're excited about the next season of RuPaul's Drag Race, which I know no one else in the room is besides me is, everyone else is rolling their eyes. But if you are excited about it, they did release more stuff this past week.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing I'm super excited about, I love to watch the Pit Stop, which is their recap show on YouTube. So each episode they do a recap, and they have a regular host and a guest every week. But they did just announce that Bianca Del Rio is going to be hosting the Pit Stop this season, which is super exciting. Trixie Mattel's done it before, Bob the Drag Queen, Monet Exchange, and it's exciting to see Bianca. She's been kind of off doing her own thing, very separate from Drag Race, and so it's exciting to see her like back in Drag Race form.
She's like one of the goats.
Yeah.
That was the first season I watched of that show.
No, that's the best season.
Yeah.
But
It's all downhill from there.
Pit Stop is going to be really fun this season.
Excellent.
I think that's all I got.
That's it for gay news.
Yeah.
You guys, if you're not already in the Christmas spirit, this 4-minute video of Longwood Gardens will get you there. Enjoy this light show.
Yeah, wouldn't it be nice?
Great fire.
You guys go to Longwood Gardens if you get a chance. That's Kennett Square, Pennsylvania. It's, a couple hours from where I grew up. And it's definitely one of the best Christmas light shows in the country, if not the world. Please welcome back to the show our friend Murray Bartlett, a recent Emmy Award winner for the first season of White Lotus, which, if you recall, we called on this show in July of 2020. I called it.
Take full responsibility.
Thank you
for allowing me to win that award.
I'm so
I think it was
happy.
because of you.
I definitely feel like this tiny little show got the ball. I was like, people haven't seen this yet, you guys. So good. I'm so happy for you. So proud of you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How did that feel?
To win that?
Yeah, just like
surreal.
Yeah,
I mean, it was really beautiful on many levels. It was also weird because we'd been in a traffic jam outside the Emmys, and it was so bad that we ended up getting out of the car and walking to the red carpet, which was actually really fun. And we were in good spirits. But then we were rushed inside. And then there was this whole sort of, opening number that was sort of like solid gold kind of thing, which was kind of fun. And so we were rushed in, then the solid gold thing happened, and then it was basically my award. So I was like, oh, wow. I didn't have time to think, which is probably a good thing, although I had thought about what I wanted to say if I did win. And then, so it was a magical, beautiful moment surrounded by a lot of people from White Lotus who I adore. And we hadn't really seen a lot of each other because it had been COVID, so it was like this beautiful kind of reunion of us. It was a wonderful moment.
And it was a clean sweep. You guys won like 10 Emmys that night.
Well, that was the amazing thing too, that our show got a lot of love that night. So it was just this sort of ramping up of joy for all of us. And it was, it does sound corny, but it was a very singular experience that we had making that show, and we bonded in a very singular way that doesn't, I don't think it ever happens that way, because when you're making a show in a pandemic, it's a lovely group of people, and I think we would have bonded, but there was something very special about making that show. So it was wonderful to be with that group who, there's a lot of shared love, and then have this kind of, beautiful recognition of the thing that we poured our hearts into. So it was great.
And because of when it came out, it ended up being a really long awards cycle for you.
Yes.
So we talked to you before the 2021 Emmys.
Right.
And so it was really 14 or 15 months later.
Wow.
That this, and you had been nominated for all these things and winning some of them along the way. So it really kind of capped off a year and a half of that stuff for you, while you were also doing new jobs.
Yes. Yeah, it was kind of 2 years really from when we were shooting through till the end of the whole Emmys thing. So it was kind of weird in a way. 2 years later, we're like, are we still talking about this show?
You're like, I've already shot 5 things since that.
Oh, I know. Can we change the subject?
It feels like that. It's every time I'm like, oh, a new show, let's watch the trailer. And there's Murray. It's every show that comes out these days here. I love it.
It's been a very wonderfully busy time for me, and a lot of those, I think, because of COVID and everything just sort of being a little off kilter, the things that I've done in the last 2 years are now kind of rolling out sort of one after the other, which is cool in one way, so long as people don't get sick of me.
No,
that will never happen. Well, that's kind of you to say.
So there was Physical with Rose Byrne, which was that the very next one after?
No, I worked on The Last of Us immediately after, which is a HBO adaptation of the video game, which is a massive production. So that took another year after I shot my parts on it, until they were finished shooting. And then I did another show called Extrapolations, which comes out in the spring, which is on Apple TV. Then I did Physical with Rose Byrne, and then I did Chippendales, which is on at the moment. Yeah.
Chippendales is so fun. I watched 4 or 5 episodes all this week. So good. But one thing I had this realization that I'm wow, almost everything I've seen you in, you play a gay man. Is that something you kind of seek out, or is it something that you feel like you get cast as?
It's not something that I necessarily seek out. I welcome it. Mm-hmm. And I think you do get kind of people seek you out for roles that they have seen you in a little bit. So or associate you with. So I'm careful to try and vary the roles that I do, and I've been lucky to, I think, to be presented with roles that are awesome, and they happen to be gay. So I'd be a fool to not do them because they're gay. But having said that, I would like to play a variety of roles. So I'm always looking for that. If they end up all being gay, that's okay.
This variety within that.
Totally. I mean, yeah. Are we all the same? I don't know. The three of us are kind of like the same. But
I mean,
except
me and Murray Bartlett are the same.
You heard it here.
We're like twins, right?
That's kind of you to say.
One noisy hat bar. That is, every time we say something, I feel like it's punctuated by a jingle.
It's Christmas, you guys.
Yeah.
I do want to say, as far as Chippendales goes, this was one of the first instances that I know for you where you're playing somebody real.
Right.
Like, how much research did you do on him, and how much of it was just creating your own thing?
I did dig into who the real guy was, and there's great footage of him, and so I definitely love that as like a sort of jumping off point. Our show is based on the real story, so it's inspired by those people. So we had some license to then jump into our scripts and see where it went. But I definitely I used that sort of material that I found on him as a touchstone always, because he's an amazing character and an amazing man. Like this real visionary, I think, and I related to him in many ways, and so I wanted to try and capture the essence of who he is. So yeah, it was exciting to have like solid reference points of someone. I mean, it's a little daunting at some points because you're like, you want to do justice to the real person and respect them, and but it's also fantastic to be able to really like study someone in that way. It's it's cool.
And I mean, you just started it. You're a couple episodes in, but like Dan Stevens was unrecognizable to me. I didn't know that was him until after. I mean, spoiler alert, he offs himself. And I was like, who was that hot guy? And I was like, oh my God, the guy from Downton Abbey. So like your voice is completely, I feel like everybody in it is doing something really interesting to me. You look like you were having a lot of fun.
We were having a ton of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an incredible story. Like, it's a really fun roller coaster ride of a story with these like amazing, very dynamic characters. So it's like dreamy for actors. And it was, it's, again, I've been lucky to work with a beautiful group of people who who are really talented, and yeah, we were in like, it's the 70s and the 80s, like we're wearing all these cool clothes, like we get to do all this cool stuff. There's like Chippendales dancers dancing all around. Like it was just fun by default, because of the subject matter. But then we were just able to play, and we did. It was really great.
My favorite part about it being set in the 70s and 80s is the like how different the like idyllic man is. Like, I find the idyllic man of the 70s and 80s, which is heavily represented in the show, to be much more attractive than, like, the Magic Mike of today.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Also, I think, like, the original Chippendales, who were just guys pulled off of Venice Beach,
Right.
super hot. And then they go to the kind of, like, the hairless, like, muscled guys. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, like, when your character was like, you got to fire all the dancers, it's like, no, they were so hot.
Chuck's the cooler. Did you get to hang out with Chuck?
Yeah, Chuck was one of the originals.
Yeah.
I mean, not that the guys that we ended up with aren't hot; they totally are. But it's just, it's a different look, Like it does kind of shift into something very more sort of slick from what they started with, which is my character's fault. Really, he kind of pushed for that more sort of, I don't know. Classy, but yeah, cool.
And there's 2 left, and of course this is traditional TV. It comes out once a week.
Yeah.
So you have time to catch up on Chippendales if you're behind. I knew it was based on a real story, but I didn't want to spoil it for myself, so I never Googled because the book I think is called The Chippendale Murders.
Uh-huh.
So it's like somebody's going to get it, and I was like, if it's Murray, if they kill Murray in like half of the shows that he's on, I'm going to cancel all of my streaming services, all of my premium cable channels. I'm just sitting there going, don't, no.
Taking the mantle from Sean Bean, I think.
Yeah. So I mean, I got my fingers crossed for you these last 2 weeks. I don't know what happens, but
Thank you.
I listened to a podcast about this story forever ago, but I don't remember, so it'll be fun.
That's good.
yeah.
I think it's good. I mean, I think a lot of people don't know the real story, which I think is good because the surprises that come and are still coming in the last 2 episodes, particularly, are pretty epic. So, yeah.
And one of my favorite parts about this whole season is that your character, whenever somebody's like, "Oh, you've won an Emmy," he goes, "What does he say?"
No, I won 2.
I won 2.
I was literally on my contractor was like, yes, foreshadowing.
And you heard it here first. I think you're going to get nominated for another Emmy for Chippendales. I honestly do think that. And as we've established, I'm really good at this.
Yeah.
The air just crackled.
Did you hear it? Oh, this is coming. This is happening.
Bob's hat.
No, I mean, I was texting with Ahmed, and I was like, what if, I mean, this is something that you might be able to say yourself.
I hope so. I mean, that would be great.
That would be great.
Then I can come back and we can talk about it.
What's in that bag?
Well, Bob, this is not something I carry around. This was at your request. I dusted it off and pulled it out of the closet. I did actually. My good friend told me that after I'd won, that I couldn't just put it directly in the closet. I had to leave it out for a week, and like this had been told to him by an actress who'd won some awards. That you have to leave it out and look at it and take it in for at least a week and just like really like enjoy the moment. So I left it out in the kitchen for a week and I took it in and it was actually really beautiful because I'm a little bit, inclined to be like, oh yeah, that was lovely and not diminishing it, but just like I don't want to feel like I'm arrogant or being a dick or something. So but now it lives in the closet. Anyway.
I mean, I was saying, I would be at the grocery store with it. So sorry, I only have one hand.
Oh my God. Do you want to hold it?
Can we?
It's actually, can I present it to you?
Absolutely.
Bob. For the title of Best Morning Show Host.
Take that, Kelly Ripa.
I present you both. I would have given you 2, but I only have 1
so far.
With this Emmy.
We're very going to break it.
We want to thank the Academy and Murray for being here. Congratulations. This is so fun.
We want to thank our P-Town family.
That was the best.
That was epic.
And everybody's like, do you think he was talking to you guys? I was like, yes.
Of course.
Of course he was.
Wow, I don't want to hold it anymore. I'm going to break it.
It's heavy. This is,
it's really heavy, isn't it? It is one of those things that like, you get it, and you're like, oh, yeah, this feels like an award. An award. It feels like I won something substantial.
And when he was like, I would have it at the grocery store, and I was like, it would answer my door. If somebody knocked, it would be the first thing they saw every time they came to the door.
Oh, thank you. It gets its own party.
Is that standard form to put it in the closet eventually? There's no curio cases with a bunch of Emmys, or
I don't know. I guess some people do that. I don't know. I did, after leaving it up for a week, I left it out a day or two too long, and we had someone come over to the house, and I did feel like a dick. I was like, oh. He was like, oh my God. And I was like, oh my God.
That is such an extreme form of modesty. Like,
well,
one of the highest honors for an actor, and you're like, oh, I don't want to brag about that.
No, I mean, I'm thrilled and like very, like I'm super thankful and like I love it, but also like I don't know.
It's about the work.
No, I hear you.
Like awards are nice, but that's not why you're doing what you do.
Yeah, and it's like if you had like a big photo of yourself in a frame, you don't have one of those, do you? Like around the house. Like, I mean, you want to have family and friends, but like
there's this little painting of Peter Ball.
I'm just gonna say it, Murray. Unfortunately, we are not the same.
I thought we were twins, but we're not. I've done an Emmy and you haven't.
I have no modesty.
I mean, I feel like Shirley MacLaine famously is like, mine's in my bathroom on a toilet.
I think that's cute. Yeah.
That's good. We're building a house. Maybe I should make a podium in the toilet.
So when does Last of Us come out?
Early January.
Early January.
Yeah.
Did you play the game?
I did not.
Oh, that's okay.
Another game. Thank you. Another game. I wish that I did, and then the job came up, and I dug into researching it, obviously, and it's, from what I can tell, I mean, not knowing much about games, it's a beautiful game, very cinematic and very the characters are drawn very beautifully, and it's very emotional and very human in apparently quite a unique way for a game, or it just sort of goes quite deep, which is why it lends itself to being adapted. And it's been adapted, I think. I mean, I haven't seen it yet, but the scripts were incredible, and it's this big post-apocalyptic, show, but the human stories are so beautiful, so beautifully written. So I'm really, really excited about it.
Are you able to use your natural accent, or did they?
No, I'm American.
American. You do that more often than not, I think. Probably.
I do. Yeah.
It's easy for you at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
You're very good at it.
So thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, Michael Ponte wanted me to ask you about the accents. He was like, how easy is it for him to just dip in and out? And does it add an extra layer of difficulty to the performance?
Not really these days. I mean, I'm loath to say it, because then what if I mess it up, and then I'm like, yeah, it's easy, and I'm doing a terrible job. But it was weird working with wonderful working with Rose Byrne on Physical, but she's Australian, and so we would be offset, oh, how's it going, Rose, and talking, and then we'd be on set and they call action, and then we're into American, and then it would call cut, and we're like, oh, that was great. So and people got a little freaked out that we were sort of going in and out, but I think it's just, we both lived here for many years, and you just sort of adjust to it and get used to it. I mean, if it's a particular dialect, then that's a different thing. You want to, but I always want to, as an actor, want to go to set not thinking about that. I want to think about talking and listening with the person rather than what's my accent sound like. So I try to get to that point where it's hopefully second nature.
We're only going to brag about you for a couple more minutes. He did just get home here from visiting home, Australia, to accept GQ's Man of the Year award.
I did.
Congratulations.
Yes. Thank you.
Harrison was like, well, he's Man of the Year here too.
Yeah.
So
Provincetown Man of the Year.
This is going to be an award we give out. You're the inaugural Man of the Year.
Well, you've been Man of the Year the last 3 years of Wake Up. So I guess we could pick someone different.
Absolutely.
Yes, of course.
But how's your mom? How was your trip home?
It was amazing. I hadn't been home for 4 years because of COVID, and then the last year I've been busy, and it's been hard to get back. But also Western Australia, where my mom is very kind of strict about rules on COVID, so it was really difficult to get back into the state. But it was amazing. It was really wonderful to see her and see the rest of my family and be home. However, since I've been back last time, 4 years ago, P-Town became my home, and I've never really, it's one of the reasons why I adore P-Town and this community so much, is that it's the first place in the US where I felt this incredible sense of home that's rivaled Australia. So it was really fascinating for me to be in Australia, which is my home, and to be missing my home, and then to come back here and feel like, oh, I'm home. So that was kind of a beautiful revelation this time.
That's beautiful. Welcome home.
Thanks.
Congratulations on everything.
Thank you.
We're so happy for you.
Thank you.
We can't wait to have you back again.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Before we sign off, I forgot to give you your Christmas
Oh my god,
present.
I forgot to bring your Christmas present.
You don't have to open it on air since I don't have anything.
Has it an Emmy?
Yay!
This is an Emmy.
Thank you.
okay.
You're so thoughtful.
It's just in the closet anyway. So.
Oh my god.
We want to thank our sponsors.
Yeah, Be Well Cannabis, Cafe Heaven, The Red Inn, Crown and Anchor, Provincetown Brewing Company, the Adam Howard Metal Workshop, Project Valor Sailing,
And the Television Academy.
Yeah.
You guys, thank you so much for waking up and Provincetown. Merry Christmas. And,
Yeah.
happy holidays. Yeah, we'll see you next week.
Good morning, everybody. Wake up.
Wake up, wake